A few weeks ago, I was talking with a developer who's been building communities in Monmouth County for decades. We were discussing a piece of land along the Route 9 corridor, and he told me that for the first time in a very long time, the numbers no longer made sense. And honestly, it really wasn't surprising, but it reinforced something I've been noticing for a while now. The same formula that helped create communities like Freehold Township, Manalapan, and Marlboro is changing, and I think we're only at the beginning of that shift. I'm DeSantis, and for nearly 20 years, I've been helping buyers, sellers, and families relocate throughout Monmouth County. Over the years, I've seen markets boom, market slowdowns, bidding wars, low interest rates, high interest rates, and just about everything in between. But I've never seen a shift quite like the one we're experiencing right now. For decades, growth in Monmouth County followed a pretty predictable pattern. Developers would buy farmland, extend roads and utilities, build neighborhoods, and families would follow. People wanted great schools, larger homes, more space, and communities where they could put down roots and raise their families. In many ways, that's exactly what attracted me to Manalapan, where I live. Like many families I work with today, I was looking for great schools, more space, and a community where my family could grow. And that's exactly what towns like Manalapan, Marlboro, and Freehold Township deliver. That formula worked incredibly well for a very long time. But what is happening right now isn't a housing bubble, it isn't a market crash, and it isn't a temporary shutdown. It's a structural shift in the way New Jersey grows. And I believe it's being driven by three major forces, all happening at the same time. The first is affordable housing. In fact, if you've been following what's happening in Colts Neck lately, you've already started to see what I'm talking about. For decades, Colts Neck was known for large lots, preserved farmland, equestrian properties, and lower density development. But now we're seeing projects like at Colts Neck. It's a luxury apartment community that includes affordable housing units, along with additional housing obligations that will influence future development decisions. Whether you agree with these changes or not isn't really the point. The point is that communities that historically experienced very little development are now having conversations about housing needs, density, and future growth. That's a significant change. The second force is land. Simply put, there isn't much affordable, developable land left in many of the prime growth corridors throughout Monmouth County. And the third force is buyers. Today's buyers are just different. Many are relocating from New York City, Brooklyn, Staten Island, Queens, and other densely populated areas. They still want great schools and beautiful homes, but also want convenience. They want restaurants, entertainment, transportation options, and flexibility. One thing I've noticed over the last few years is that buyers aren't necessarily looking for the same version of the American dream they were looking for 20 years ago. I still work with plenty of families who want the larger colonial on a half-acre lot. In fact, many of my clients prioritize exactly that. But I'm also seeing buyers who are willing to sacrifice some square footage if it means being closer to downtown areas, transportation, restaurants, or other amenities. I recently worked with a family relocating from New York, and initially they thought they wanted the biggest home possible. We looked at some beautiful homes with large lots and plenty of space. But after spending time touring different towns throughout Monmouth County, they realized what mattered most wasn't another 500 square feet. It was lifestyle. It was being able to walk to dinner, be close to activities, and having easier access to transportation when they needed to get into the city. 10 years ago, that conversation was far less common. Today, I hear it all the time. Now, before anyone thinks I'm saying communities like Freehold Township, Marlboro, Manalapan, and Colts Neck are somehow losing their appeal, that's absolutely not what I'm saying. In fact, if there's one question I get asked all the time, it's whether these communities are still good places to buy. My answer is absolutely yes. I continue to see strong demand in all of them. Families still move to Freehold Township for the schools, neighborhoods, recreation programs, and the central location. Buyers continue to choose Marlboro because of the schools, beautiful homes, and convenient access to transportation. Manalapan remains incredibly popular with families looking for space, value, and a strong sense of community. And Colts Neck continues to attract buyers who want larger lots, privacy, and a lifestyle that's very difficult to find elsewhere in Monmouth County. What I am saying is that buyers are evaluating these towns differently than they did 10 or 20 years ago. They're asking different questions. They're looking beyond the house itself and thinking about the lifestyle, convenience, transportation, future development, and long-term appreciation. And that's where things start to get really interesting. One of the biggest stories in Monmouth County right now is Netflix coming to Fort Monmouth. I've covered this topic before, and every time I do, people focus on the studio itself. But what I think many people are missing is everything that comes with it. New jobs, new businesses, new residents, new investments, increased housing demands. Whenever major employers move into an area, the effects are rarely limited to one town. They spread throughout the entire region. Many people remember when Fort Monmouth closed. For years, there were uncertainty about what would happen to the property. There were discussions, proposals, and plans. People talked about the potential, and now we're finally seeing some of that potential become a reality. And when thousands of jobs are created, people need places to live. Some will rent, some will buy, some businesses will relocate nearby, new businesses will open to support those workers and residents. That's why I believe buyers should pay attention not just to where a town is today, but where it's headed 5, 10, or even 15 years from now. When I think about towns that may benefit from these trends, places like Oceanport, Eatontown, Red Bank, Long Branch, Asbury Park, Middletown, Rumson, Fairhaven, Little Silver, Holmdel, and even parts of Colts Neck immediately come to mind. Each town offers something today's buyers increasingly value. Some offer transportation, some offer walkability, some lifestyle amenities, and some offer proximity to major economic drivers. And those factors matter. Take Middletown, for example. I've had countless conversations with buyers who had no idea the C Street Ferry even existed until they started to explore the area. Then they realized they can be in Manhattan in under an hour, and suddenly an entire community jumps to the top of their list. The same thing happens with towns like Red Bank and Asbury Park. People initially start their search focused entirely on square footage and bedroom count. Then they visit downtown, experience the restaurants, the shops, events, and suddenly they're viewing the decision through a completely different lens. They're no longer just buying a house, they're buying a lifestyle. Does that mean that every town without walkability or transportation is somehow in trouble? Absolutely not. Many of Monmouth County's suburban communities remain incredibly desirable and will continue to attract strong demand. But what I do believe is happening is a separation. Communities that once seemed almost interchangeable are beginning to differentiate themselves based on lifestyle, transportation, amenities, economic investment, and future growth potential. And understanding those differences is becoming more important than ever. If you're a buyer, this is probably the most important takeaway from this entire video. Don't just buy the house, buy the lifestyle. You can renovate a kitchen, you can update a bathroom, you can finish a basement, you can change flooring, you can repaint every room, but you cannot change where the house is located. That's why I always encourage buyers to start with lifestyle first. How often do you commute? Do schools matter to you? Do you want a walkable downtown? Do you want acreage and privacy? Do you want newer construction? Do you want to be near the beach? Do you want access to trains and ferries? Once you answer those questions, the right towns become much easier to identify. Inventory throughout Monmouth County remains relatively tight, and desirable homes continue to attract strong interest. While the market isn't quite as frenzied as it was a few years ago, competition hasn't disappeared. Well-priced homes in desirable locations are still moving very quickly. And if you're considering relocating to Monmouth County, I've created a free relocation guide that breaks down the towns, school systems, commute options, lifestyle differences, and price points throughout the county. You can find the link in the description below. Now let's shift gears and talk about sellers. If you're a homeowner, the question isn't whether your home will sell. The question is whether you're positioning yourself correctly in today's market. One thing I've noticed over the last year is that buyers have become much more selective. A few years ago, almost everything sold immediately. Today's buyers are paying much more closer attention to presentation, pricing, and condition. The homes that are professionally marketed, properly priced, staged well, and presented beautifully are still performing extremely well. The homes that miss the mark are sitting longer. The market is rewarding preparation. In towns like Colts Neck, Holmdel, Rumson, Marlboro, Manalapan, and Freehold Township, move-in ready homes continue to command premium because many buyers simply don't want renovation projects. And buyers aren't simply purchasing based on what a town looks like today. They're investing in what a town looks like 5, 10, or 15 years from now. I do believe we're still in the early stages of the shift. The Netflix project is just getting started. New housing criteria will continue to influence developmental patterns throughout New Jersey. Buyer preferences are evolving. And if mortgage rates come down while inventory remains relatively limited, competition could increase even more and very quickly. The biggest mistake people make is waiting until these trends become obvious. By the time everyone recognizes where growth is occurring, much of the opportunity has already passed. The shift is already underway. Some towns are adapting and benefiting from it. Others may face challenges as the traditional growth model continues to evolve. The good news is that Monmouth County remains to be one of the most desirable places to live in New Jersey. The key is understanding which towns best align with your goals, your lifestyle, and your long-term plans. Whether you're buying, selling, investing, or relocating, understanding these trends can help you make better decisions and potentially save yourself a lot of money and frustration along the way. If you're thinking about making a move anywhere in the Monmouth County area, I'd love to help. Feel free to reach out to me with questions anytime. And don't forget to download my free location guide in the description below. Again, I'm Melissa DeSantis, broker associate in Monmouth County.